Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. I'm Gavin Williams alongside
Charlie Caleri.
And the AFC and NFC championship games are over. They were both amazing games.
They were.
Amazing games. And now I called a Super Bowl rematch, and we're getting a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, I mean, the picks were posted on Saturday or Sunday, and I picked the Lions and Ravens to win, and Gavin picked the 49ers and Chiefs. So I got both the picks wrong. I said to Gavin, I picked with my heart, not my head, because if you really look at it on paper, those were the two better. Or I don't know about the Ravens-Chiefs game, maybe.
I think the Ravens were the better paper team to go.
Yeah,
but I think obviously it was.
But
Niners,
the Niners, but the Lions, I couldn't go against them. They were my team, the whole NFC team, the whole year. Had to ride out with them, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah,
happens.
It just happens. But
happens.
So I mean, we'll start on the AFC side. Who took the crown of the AFC? It was the Kansas City Chiefs, as we just mentioned it. Final score of this one was 17-10, kind of 17-7. It was kind of like a garbage time field goal.
Yeah, I mean, this first half showed us that this game could have been like an all-timer, but that second half was just,
0 points scored for the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half, and they still won this game. And the reason was because the Baltimore Ravens only put up 3 points in the whole second half, when they had plenty of opportunities to do otherwise.
I mean, that was the whole second half.
Yeah.
The Chiefs didn't score at all. So, I mean, the Ravens, they didn't really have anything going after that first quarter. I mean, they scored in that first quarter to tie the game 7-7 with Zay Flowers scoring that 30-yard touchdown. But after that, it was really all the Chiefs and them controlling the clock, really.
Yeah.
They kept the Ravens off the field. That was really the key of the game. I mean, this Ravens defense really locked down the Chiefs' offense, but at the same time, they couldn't get off the field, so they were just exhausted the whole second half.
Yeah, I just want to point this out. I was saying this during the game itself. If you keep a team under 20 points in an NFL game, I'm going to say that's a grade A.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep a team under 20
especially
points,
in today's NFL.
Yeah, today's NFL.
I mean, if you can hold them to 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, I feel like that's pretty good.
That's a successful day for the defense. And the Ravens had a successful day on defense, but only putting up 10 teams with one of the best offenses in the whole league. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the AFC Championship at home. It was the same story with the Bills last week. You just got to capitalize in your big games, especially against these teams who
at home
have been there before. Because they're like the Ravens and the Bills and maybe even throwing like the Jags and Chargers in this category. Like, you don't know when you're ever going to get the chance to win in the AFC with the Bengals and Chiefs being there. So,
yeah,
you got to take advantage when you can, and those two teams did not.
Yeah, so a little recap, obviously. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball very efficiently. Something that this guy doesn't do is he just doesn't lose when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, this is his 4th Super Bowl, will be in a week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
And out of 5
years, yeah.
5 years.
I know.
Or
4 Super Bowls in 5 years, yeah.
4 Super Bowls in 5 years and 4 Super Bowls in his 6 total years in the as a starter in the NFL.
It's just, and then the 1 year that he didn't go, he lost an AFC Championship to Tom Brady.
He's been in the AFC Championship every single year.
Yeah,
he's been in the NFL or starter in the NFL.
It's just really frustrating.
Yeah,
it's just really, really frustrating. And this was the year that he was supposed to not even get there.
Yep, and he still did.
Still found a way. Still got back to the Super Bowl,
promised land,
and there's a good chance that they might do it again.
Yeah. So he was 30 for 39. He threw for 241 yards, and he had a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco, tier 1 guy. We'll get into him a little later.
Yeah, we will.
But 24 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And Travis Kelce, he always finds a way to get the ball. He got it 11 times. 11 times.
He had himself a day. Most of those were in the first half, too. I think all of them.
Especially that first drive.
It might have been 10 of them were in the first half.
Yeah, literally. He had a day, too. 116 and a touchdown, which was the biggest touchdown, was the opening touchdown. And, Lamar Jackson, I'll let you name the stats, but I do want to say something really quick. I was watching First Take the other day, or maybe Rex Ryan, one of the two, and 82% of their snaps were passes.
I think it was
Rex
Ryan because I was watching First Take with you.
He was pissed.
Yeah, that hasn't been what they have been going to all year.
They ran the ball more than I think 60% of the time all year, whether it was the running backs or Lamar running himself. And they threw the ball 82% of the time, and that's just not their identity. They lost their identity, kind of like what the Bills did. They lost their identity.
Well, we didn't really have one. That was the problem.
That was the problem. But they had one and just threw it out the window for their game plan. And Rex Ryan, as he said, was one of the worst game plans he's ever seen in the history of football, which I'm not going to disagree. Because when you have a team who can run the ball down your throat and you're going to throw it, there's no point.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback off that, I think we were watching one of those shows early yesterday. They were saying that Lamar tried to play that game like the quarterback that he wants to be, not that the quarterback that he is. And, I mean, he's great who he is. So I don't know why he decided in that moment to I mean, obviously when you're down 10 late, you got to take down even 7 late. You got to take some chances. I know throwing that ball at the end zone is going to be questioned for a long time, but
triple coverage
at this, triple coverage. And I'm questioning it too. But at the same time, I mean, you got to think about what he's thinking about on the field and everything else that's going on too. So you got to take those things into account as well. But
very disappointing game from the Ravens. As Charlie's going to read these stat lines.
More disappointing from their offense, as we mentioned.
Yes.
But anyway, Lamar. 20 for 37, 272 yards, a touchdown, and that pick late in the game. He was clean until the end.
Yeah.
It was just he made that one mistake. And 8 carries on the ground for Lamar and 54 yards. And their leading receiver, who really kept them in the game, honestly, Zay Flowers, the rookie, 5 receptions, 115 yards, and that 30-yard touchdown.
Cost him a turnover, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Yeah. He should have had 2 touchdowns, but fumbled it on the goal line. Great play by L'Jarius Sneed.
Wow.
Punching that ball out. I mean, all-time play right there.
I'm not going to say this either. Like, I'm not going to blame this on Zay Flowers because I don't think this was a rookie move. I think anybody's diving for the end zone there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's a bad move to dive for the end zone. I think that's
like that
99 out of 100 times he scores that touchdown.
Yeah, and that was just the one time.
It was that one time, and it just happened to be in that moment. And honestly, there's nothing he can really do to defend the ball, right, in that instance, besides maybe covering it with his other hand. But in that moment, you're trying to reach, do anything to get to that goal line.
If they score that touchdown, I think they win the game.
I agree. The momentum would have been
they would have only been down 3
heavily in their favor.
They only would have been down 3,
and they were getting stops after stops. I mean, the Chiefs had how many straight punts in the second half?
I don't really
4 or
remember.
5.
Yeah, it was
4
crazy,
or 5,
though.
right? Yeah, but not a good offensive game by either team. But as it always has been said, if you score more points, you win the game.
I mean, that is true.
So Chiefs scored more points, they won the game. Ravens, I guess couldn't get another stop. I don't really know. Couldn't put up enough points. It's really it. They got enough stops in the second half.
Couldn't get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
Biggest problem that they had.
Simple as that. So we move now to the NFC game, which was arguably better.
I think it was better.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
Which is wild because we were kind of spoiled this weekend, but the last 2 weekends it's kind of been a little.
We had to make it up.
Yeah, I mean, we only had about 2 good games out of those first. How many? 10?
I think the divisional round, the only 2 good games were the Packers and the Bills. Those were the only 2.
Yeah, I agree. Those night games.
Round,
yeah. I mean, I wish those other games were a little bit better, but hey, last year we had a really good playoff. This year we're looking to have a really good Super Bowl, so not complaining at all. Not complaining at all. Football is football.
Right.
So the Lions, my team, my NFC team, they lost in a heartbreaking way to the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. And the story of this game is aggressiveness and blown leads. So
there was a 17-point lead that was blown by the Detroit Lions. But I'll start with the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, man, not a game manager. This game proved that he is not a game manager. I mean, he proved that he was a game changer.
I agree, and I'm still a little bit on the train. I'm like 1 foot on, 1 foot off of the system quarterback Brock Purdy talk. But honestly, it's hard just for me to believe. I feel like if it was any quarterback in with these players, I would be saying the same thing. So, but this game, you're right. It proved to me that he can be that next level QB.
Yeah, and so he had 20 for 31, 267 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Pick wasn't pretty, but that was before the comeback started, so it wasn't really costly.
Not at all. Not at all.
But the thing that Brock did that was really good, he used his feet in the fourth quarter. He really stretched out these plays. He got the first downs. he led them to game-winning drives by being down 17. And Christian McCaffrey, 20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy can't stay out of the end zone. Touchdown machine. This guy is amazing.
It's unreal.
Deebo Samuel, 8 receptions, 89 yards. But the man of the game, Brandon Ayuk, man. This guy is special. I mean, Brock Purdy should have had 2 picks here. That one,
Yeah.
I mean, that actually should have been a pick.
Yeah.
And he throws it
Coming up with
downfield,
that catch.
50-yard bomb. Overthrows
Unleashed
Ayuk.
it.
Yeah. Hits Detroit Lion defender in the face. Bounces up. And it's called a tip drill for a reason. And the tip drill didn't go for the Lions. It went for the Niners.
Yeah.
And Brandon Ayuk caught the ball. And he got tapped down the 1-yard line, which gave McCaffrey another touchdown. But, you know, Brandon Ayuk's a team player. They interviewed him after the game. They're like, Erin Andrews did. She said, walk me through the play. And he said one thing. He said, a ladybug landed on my shoe, and you all know what that means. Bang, bang, Niner gang. We're winning. So, I mean, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I love Brandon Ayuk.
I love, like, the whole, like, slogans, like, faithful and, like, bang, bang, Niner gang. Like, that's just so funny to me. That's awesome.
It's an identity. It's, you know, I mean, it's like how, you know, you guys have the cheese heads and we have the mafia, you know.
The bang,
like,
bang, Niner gang.
Yeah.
And, you know, Anna Fry, moving on. And
Anna Fry.
Anna Fry, you never seen that?
Who's Anna Fry?
Oh, I'm going to have to show you after this.
No clue.
If you guys haven't looked it up, there's a girl who it looks identical, kind of like the Trevor Lawrence comparison.
She
with
looks
that
like
girl.
Brock Purdy?
Exactly.
Is that the girl?
Exactly.
I
like
think
Brock
you guys
Purdy.
were talking about that.
And
yeah.
someone after the game.
It really does look like Brock Purdy. It's really scary,
someone
actually.
walked up to Brock Purdy after the game. They said, Anna Fry, you're going to the Super Bowl. And he chuckled. He even
He
knows
acknowledged it, yeah.
Yeah. And
now that you say it, now I got it, yeah.
So the PYT's moving on to the Super Bowl.
Let's go.
That's like Brock Purdy has this iconic video of PYT by Michael Jackson.
Let's go.
Just wanted to point that out too.
Moving on to the other side of the ball, sad side of the ball. But here we are again. The Detroit Lions. I mean, what a run. What a run by MCDC and the boys. I mean, Jared Goff leading the way. What a game by Jared Goff. 273 yards and 1 touchdown. 25 completions in that game, too, on 41 attempts. On the ground, they're two-headed monster, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery was a little bit more involved. 15 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs also had a touchdown, but only 45 yards rushing. And then that long 42-yard rushing touchdown by Jameson Williams. That was an electric play.
Yeah,
early in that game.
That put him up. I think was that the 21-7. I think at that point.
That was
or the 14-7.
No, that was the first score of the game.
Yeah, that was the first score of the game.
Yeah,
opening
it was
drive,
right away.
That was electric.
Opening drive. It was definitely electric. And then receiving the ball, Sam Laporta. Wow, as a rookie, him and Zay Flowers. I mean, both of them. You just forget that they're rookies halfway through the season because of how good that they played. But 9 receptions for 97 yards in the NFC Championship. Yeah. Unreal.
Him and J-Mo.
Unreal.
I mean, they both just went off.
And then Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, same thing. He's a great young player. 7 years, 87 yards. Or not 7 years. Sorry, I'm thinking about. I was thinking about them giving him a contract soon because they got to do that soon.
They do. 7
receptions, 87 yards. Sorry, but other than that, I mean, those are really their 2 main guys in the pass game. That's one thing that they might need to address in the offseason is getting that solidified number 2 wide receiver. And, I mean, maybe they could be in the running for Mike Evans or T. Higgins like we've been talking about. That would be interesting. I don't know their cap situation, whatever, but, you know, could be interesting.
I'm gonna agree to disagree. Excuse me. I think J-Mo is a stud. I think
you think he just needs time.
I think this was his 1 year. I mean, I know he's suspended for a lot of the year, and now next year not going to be suspended for 6 games. It's going to give him the heads-up start, and now he's going to be the clear number 2. But I could see your reasoning for a T. Higgins coming into here would be a game changer.
I just think Jameson Williams isn't enough of a pass catcher to maybe do it. I think he's not. Obviously, he's a pass catcher, but I'm saying more of in that deep ball, go down and get it kind of play. Jameson Williams is more of that speed guy where he can give you those 42-yard rushes like he had, or he can give you those little drag routes that can give you those Tyreek Hill kind of plays, those little crossing routes.
Yeah.
But I think they need a guy that can be on that outside with alongside Amon-Ra.
Yeah, because Amon-Ra's going to be in the middle, And
Yeah.
you're going to want to throw up the ball to like a Mike Evans who can just go up and get
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see
so,
that, actually.
Yeah. It'd be a good compliment to
It would be a
Amon-Ra.
good compliment.
Yeah, so.
it. I like that. I didn't think
know.
about the analogy, but now
But
I
could
like
see
that.
I could see it working both ways, too. So
He would
I
have
mean,
to take a big leap.
It's
That's
just,
all.
if they want to bank on him taking that leap, and I think him making that play in that game could be a good suggestion for that team. But, I mean, let's go through the game right now. Starting off in that first quarter, Lions went up 2 touchdowns in that first quarter, going up 14-0. And then Niners come back, McCaffrey touchdown, big surprise to take it to 14-7. And then 2 straight scores by the Lions, going 2 drives, a touchdown, and a field goal to go up by 17 at halftime. That was big. Scoring that field goal right at the end of the half
That was huge.
Big turning point in that game. And you thought, going into that locker room, you saw Dan Campbell running in there. And I had a kind of a feeling that they might blow it. But at the same time, I really wanted to believe that the grit and determination of this team was going to carry them until, the last 30 minutes of that game. But guess it did not. But Jake Moody missed the field goal earlier in the game, made this to start the second half for the Niners. That just got the little momentum going there. And then 2 straight drives, 2 straight touchdowns.
It was the Brandon Ayuk play, which was the flip of the
Yeah,
script.
that's what really flipped the game because that eventually made it 24-17. If the Lions picked that ball, they're up 24-10 with the ball on their own 10.
Yeah, and the Lions were having a great drive.
Yeah.
And then Jahmyr Gibbs, costly fumble.
I mean,
ties
once
the game
again,
up.
though, it happens. I mean, there was just little plays here and there, like the Brock Wright play, which they got in from that, right? From that play at the end. Yeah, but it still wasted a little bit of time. So that, I mean, nonetheless, but anyway, they had those 2 touchdowns, tied the game at the end of the third. Now you're thinking 1 quarter later, oh my God, we got a game on our hands. And then we were hoping for a little bit of a closer fourth quarter. Niners kept the foot on the gas. Moody scored another field goal to go by 3. Elijah Mitchell, surprise, surprise. CMC could have had 3 touchdowns in this game.
Could have. He
Crazy
landed
to
on his
think
head
about.
on that play, though.
He did.
That's why
He came out for 1 play. And then Elijah Mitchell made the most of it.
Yeah.
Scored
Good
to
for him,
put them
man.
up by 10. Critical in that game. So big on Elijah Mitchell actually getting in the end zone there.
Absolutely.
Maybe they'll use him in the Super Bowl. Maybe.
If CMC needs a playoff, Elijah Mitchell is a great complimentary to him.
Just a little tidbit out there maybe. And then Jameson Williams getting in the end zone once again later in that game.
That was a hell of a catch, too. Just wanna point that out.
3-yard catch from Jared Goff to go down by 3 with 56 seconds left, and then it's kind of the writing on the wall after that. But I mean,
Almost got an onside recovery.
almost got the onside recovery.
But he would have been a yard short.
They were a yard short, but if they timed that up perfectly, I mean,
Who knows?
who knows? They would have still had to score,
They would have.
but only a field goal in the situation.
And I was telling this to Charlie, Dan Campbell, I mean, he's a gambling man. If he's playing blackjack and you hand him 18, he's going to hit.
That's what I was going to ask you about, the aggressiveness in this game.
I'm a very aggressive. I'm an aggressive guy, and he was 1 for 3 on 4th down conversions, and I agree on the first 2, but not the last one to tie up the game.
I agree with you.
The first 2,
Yeah.
I am totally going for it with that offense, but on the last one, I'm taking the 3 and tying up the game.
I'm always a big fan of, I'm going for it in most situations in the first 3 quarters. When you get to that 4th quarter, it's a whole new ball game. I mean, yeah, you got to take all the points you can get.
Yep.
You know when you're getting another possession.
Yep.
And then especially with how much time is left? 7 minutes?
7
Left
minutes.
in that game, you go for it on 4th and 3, and
But I mean,
you
hey,
don't get it.
if they got it,
Yeah.
he's the new man on the block.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
If they get it, it's all whatever. If they don't get it, then, Stephen A's talking about you the next day.
Yeah.
But, we had this conversation all the time with games. But,
It was just- it was
in that
unfortunate it was the
situation,
NFC
it was just, it
championship.
made more sense to kick the field goal. Just, if you're watching the game and you had the flow of the game going, it just made a lot more sense for them to kick that field goal because their offense wasn't really going at that time. And you were thinking, that 3 yards seems like 30 at this point. Like, it doesn't seem like they could really do much. So
It was a long 3.
yeah, it was a long 3. It felt like a long 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway, though, great season by the Lions. Great win by the Niners. They're moving on to Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
Super Bowl. Here we go.
Here we go.
We got 2 weeks. Next week we'll do our predictions. Not this.
yeah,
week.
we're not going to do our Super Bowl prediction this week. We're going to do Super Bowl preview next week. But right now, don't go away. Don't go away just yet. We have our Out of Bounds awards for the year. And
We
this
sure
is
do.
this is not actually like the MVP candidates and, Defensive Player of the Year candidates, but it's our candidates. It's who we've been talking about the whole year. Who's our MVP? Who is our Offensive Player of the Year?
Who's
Who's
our
our
guys?
defensive player? Yeah. There is like a subjective one where we do have a Game of the Year category. That's one that we're pretty serious about picking. And but other than that, it was pretty much just for fun. And I think we should start with the Offensive Player of the Year and then go down the list.
Yeah.
And end with MVP.
We'll end with MVP.
Yeah.
So, Offensive Player of the Year, our nominees. We have Isaiah Pacheco, Puka Nacua, CMC, and CJ Stroud. All these guys were tier 1 guys.
Yeah, I mean we picked these guys because let's go through the list right now. Pacheco, we always talked about it all year. He's a hard runner. We just love the guy. Puka came on the scene week 1. We were all over him. We didn't know how to say his name.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to say anything.
We were saying Puka
know
Nacua,
anything about him. Puka Nacua.
Yeah. We went everywhere with
We
this
had
guy.
no clue how to say this guy's
But now
name.
we know how to say his name.
McCaffrey, we've been with him the whole year. He's been doing it. We're both big CMC fans. Yeah. And then Stroud, we've been on him towards the end of the year, but we had to feel like we wanted to include him at least.
Especially for that end of the season run.
We didn't think he made the cut in the MVP race, but we wanted him at least in the Offensive Player of the Year race.
Yeah. So, with a guy who he was tier 1 all year.
He was.
And
he ran away with this award.
Literally. His name is Isaiah Pacheco, the guy who runs like he's a toddler running his first pair of shoes. This guy. Let's give a round of applause. Come on. This guy is just absolutely amazing. We love this guy.
Love it. I'm not a Chiefs fan, obviously, but I'm an Isaiah Pacheco fan.
I am too.
I'll give him that.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
He was
Isaiah
not here
Pacheco.
to accept his award because he's playing in the Super Bowl, but he says thank you, and it's a great honor.
Yeah. And let's go out of bounds podcast.
Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. We have 4 guys who exemplified what it means to stop other teams from scoring points the whole year.
Yeah. So I'll name the nominees and you'll name the award winner. So first man up, Kyle Hamilton. This guy, Baltimore Ravens, absolutely stepped up this year. He took on his role, and he executed it with just greatness. Absolutely filled in, did it. Congratulations for being a nominee. Next guy, Alex Anzalone.
The
backbone to the Detroit Lions defense. He's going to be everywhere when he's a Lion, man.
Is he a free agent this year? If he's a free agent, he should be coveted, highly coveted.
Yeah, if he is, bring him back.
That's our guy.
He's just amazing. Next man, I'm going to say it right now. He's the best linebacker in football.
I agree,
and I don't think it's a debate at all. I know we agree.
And he's huge.
Yeah,
he's huge.
If you're catching the ball, the man that you're not going to want to see is Fred Warner.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. And last man, the Indianapolis Colt guy, Ian. We know you're listening out there. The man we've been saying every single game when we watch a Colts game, EJ Speed.
EJ Speed. It started off as a joke. Turned out that he's a pretty good player, actually.
Pretty decent, yeah.
And we like seeing him fly around that field because he's a pretty good linebacker for those Colts.
He sure is.
But for the winner of this award, who also couldn't be here, we actually have two winners of this award.
We're giving it a co-defensive player of the year.
Co-defensive player of the year goes to Fred Warner and Kyle Hamilton.
These two, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so Fred Warner couldn't be here today because he's focusing on the Super Bowl.
That's right.
But Kyle Hamilton, he's dealing with a lot right now.
Yeah, they just lost.
He
also could not be here.
Yeah, he couldn't be here
unfortunately
to accept his award.
Unfortunately,
we wish he was here.
Yep. Moving on now to a category that is near and dear to our heart, and if you've been listening all year, you probably know who's going to win. But every award show has one of those.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Show the guys some respect.
Coach of the Year award, our nominees are D'Amico Ryans, Houston Texans. We've been on him the whole year. Rookie head coach, led the team to the playoffs. We just love the guy.
And made to the divisional round.
Our second nominee is a man by the name of Dan Campbell, MCDC. Ever heard of him? Detroit Lions head coach. We'll be talking about him in a little bit.
Yeah, if you want a coach who cries for your team,
has grit, has hunger,
this
has
guy's gonna
determination.
bite your kneecaps off.
He will bite your kneecaps off. Our third nominee is Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
A guy who's never been under 500.
Never been under 500. We don't know how he does it with the teams that he has, and we are just – this is more of a respect play right here. We are bowing down to you, Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin.
our fourth nominee, Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland Browns.
A guy who can get it done without having any starters.
That is true. I mean, he had none of his starters, especially in offense for most of all the season, and did pretty well with it. So shout out to Kevin Stefanski for that. But the winner of the Coach of the Year award is MCDC, Dan Campbell. Congratulations. No surprise, though.
Unfortunately, Dan Campbell couldn't be here today. He's going through it right
Same
now.
thing as Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, he still doesn't regret his fourth down down decisions.
That's what he told us. It was a direct quote.
Yeah, direct quote on the phone.
Don't quote us, though.
But yeah, so like I said, I want a coach who cries for his team. I want a coach who has that much heart, who has that much grit, who's gonna bite your kneecaps off. He's gonna take a hunk out of you. I mean, this guy, you just gotta believe him. Like
you just gotta love him. You just gotta love him.
You gotta love him. That's a guy to be impossible to not love.
Our first 4 winners are from the 4 championship teams, so very interesting there. Gav, do you want to announce the next award?
So we have the real Comeback Player of the Year award, and for these nominees, we have a man who has been on 4 different teams in a year, and this guy's just been a baller. Not in the other 3, but
he's never complained one time.
Not once. A guy who likes to grab his no-no square against rivals, Baker Mayfield.
Loves to film progressive commercials, too.
Next man up, a guy who was out a lot last year, and the reason for the success of the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford.
Gritty player. I mean, you know it. We love him. You love him. Can't hate him. Can't hate him.
Can't. And the last man, a man who came off his couch, led the team to playoffs, Joe Flacco.
He got caught in the plane going to Cleveland, and we all thought it was a joke at first. And then they actually signed him, and we were like, oh, that's kind of funny. Is he going to ever play? And then he played, and then he took him to the playoffs. So
10-win team.
Joe Flacco, definitely deserving. And the winner of the Comeback Player of the Year award is Joe Flacco. I mean, like I just said, got caught going to Cleveland his first time, and then led the team to the playoffs. I mean, what a story.
He knows how to win in Cleveland.
He knows how to win in Cleveland, man. I don't know. He's always done it.
I don't
He's
care
always
that he
done
threw
it.
2 picks because this is a regular season award.
I'm still regretting that we never got the Flacco and Baltimore game.
Yeah.
Especially now that Houston lost. We never, I mean, could have been Cleveland losing.
Yeah.
Would have preferred it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows? I've also picked Cleveland to win that game. So, so our most surprising player of the year is our next award. And the category for this award, there was really not much criteria other than players who
surprised us.
Kind of just, surprised us this year. So our first nominee is your guy, Jordan Love. Wow. What a year he had.
By the way, we just want to mention, we forgot to mention, Joe Flacco couldn't be here today with us.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
He's taking care of his kids.
Yeah.
And
great dad.
He's a family man, so Joe Flacco couldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Congratulations, Joe. Jordan Love, most surprising player of the year nominee, number 1. Everybody was down him at the start of the year, and end of the season he kind of surprised us.
He turned a 3-6 win team to a 9-8
divisional team.
And took him to the divisional round and put up a fight against a contender for the Super Bowl right now.
Our number 2 nominee is Jerome Ford from the Cleveland Browns. Same thing as Joe Flacco. A motor on that team who literally, just like Pacheco, never stopped running. He's kind of a combination of a lot of the guys on the list before him. Filled in when he was needed from day one. He was a spark plug for that team, and he's a nominee for this award.
With Nick Chubb going out, get your hands on Jerome Ford if he's going to be a free agent this summer. And for the next guy, we have Devon A-Chain, the man, the speed, the absolute just wheels in the backfield. Well, both in the backfield are very speed, but Devon A-Chain is
He's got absolute wheels. I mean,
for the Miami Dolphins.
The compliment that he has with Raheem Mostert, none of us really even expected Mostert, but we didn't even expect A-Chain. We didn't know who he was. We really noticed him, week 2, week 3, maybe in the Denver game.
Especially the Denver game.
Yeah, that was when we really first started noticing him, but throughout the year he kind of kept popping up a little bit, every here and there and scoring some touchdowns for them. But nominee number 3, Devon Achane. Nominee number 4 for this award is my guy, Khalil Shakir. Really showed out for the Bills.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere. I mean, we knew what we had with him, but we weren't expecting it this year. We were expecting maybe this year, his performance this year, maybe next year, or even the year after maybe. But getting it ahead of schedule is something that, will gladly be accepted by all Bills fans. So he's our number 4 nominee for most surprising player of the year.
Yeah. So the winner of this award is going to be Jerome Ford.
Congratulations, Jerome.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he plugged right into the offense as soon as Nick Chubb went down, and this guy just ran.
Didn't stop running.
No.
Did not stop running.
As Forrest Gump said, and I was running.
And he was running.
He was running.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran till he got to Houston. But this is a regular season award.
It is a regular season award, so yeah. But congratulations to Jerome Ford. He also could not be here today. He is taking care of his brother. So that's at least what he told us. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he emailed us back. So I don't know. But anyway.
Last category.
Oh, second last category.
Sorry, because we do have the MVP.
We have the MVP last, but right before the MVP, we have Game of the Year.
Game of the Year.
Our Game of the Year category was what we thought was the best game of the year. I mean, I watched part of every game, I think, this year.
Yeah. Especially with Red Zone, obviously.
Especially with Red Zone. Thank God to Red Zone.
Scott Hansen, I mean, he's the real MVP.
Scott Hansen is a nominee for a Lifetime Achievement Award for the Out of Bounds podcast. But Game of the Year nominees are that Rams-Ravens game, that OT game where the Ravens won on a punt return in OT to win 37-31. Tyshawn Wallace, I think, winning that game, the rookie. Eagles-Chiefs is our number 2 nominee when the Eagles
down 17-7.
Down 17-7, came back in Kansas City in that Super Bowl rematch game to beat the Chiefs. That was big. That was Sunday night game, right? Tarico was calling that. I hear Tarico, I think. Whatever.
I think it was a Monday night game.
Nonetheless, it was a great game. It was a Monday night game. You're right. It was ESPN.
And Nick Sirianni said, I don't hear any more Chiefs fans.
Another ESPN game, the third nominee, was Titans at Dolphins, which might surprise a few people, but we both really, really like this game.
I mean, you're down 14 with 2 minutes left.
Titans won 28-27 in this game.
Yeah.
Will Levis and the Titans led a 14-point comeback in the last 2 minutes to win this game, and ultimately actually won the division for the Buffalo Bills on this end and beating the Jags in Week 18. So thank you to the Tennessee Titans for all your help this year.
Contributions.
Even though it didn't get us anywhere. And then our fourth nominee is Bills versus Eagles, that OT game. Even though the Bills lost, it was still one of the best games of the year.
Yeah, same thing. 2 weeks in a row for the Eagles, down 17-7, coming back. And the Bills scoring first in overtime, too.
It was Joe Brady's first game as OC. Yeah. It was a primetime game.
34 points.
It was the start of the turnaround for the Bills and the fall off for the Eagles. I mean, the game itself was great, but the storylines after it of the way that these teams went is also great.
How they responded after these games. So, I mean, obviously all of them amazing games, all one-score games. Some of them one-point games. But the winner is Bills and Eagles. Overtime game, overtime comeback.
I mean, what a game. What a game. I mean,
Jim Nantz was calling this game.
Just like we just said, literally. The storylines during this game, right after the game, and then the weeks following after the game were all great. And the game itself was just phenomenal. So
absolutely the best game of the year.
Best game of the year. Best regular season game of the year. Yeah. I'll say that. Maybe we can see a better one. Hopefully
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. But before that, let's get to it. The MVP.
Absolutely. So, with the MVP, these are the guys we've been talking about all year. Tier 1 out of bounds young men. Let's see who's on it. First candidate, Sam Howell.
Wow.
This guy just threw for almost 300 yards every single game.
I mean, if you were listening all year, every week we were talking about Sam Howell being a Tier 1 guy. And honestly, he was Tier 1 until basically the very end. Even when they were on that losing streak, we're still talking about him. He was still putting up 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks every game.
Yep.
It was the same stat line. He had the same stat line every game, but it was great.
It was awesome.
And, yeah, he was a nominee for MVP.
Sure was. Next man up, Josh Dobbs. This guy filled in for the Cardinals. Absolutely did a fantastic job. For
The
what he
rocket
had.
scientist.
Yeah. And then he went to the Vikings, had a 2 weeks, and then, then he got benched for the rest of the year. But
Yeah, he was a tier 1 guy. He kind of fell off, but, he never got below tier 2, I'll tell you that.
no, he never got below tier 2.
Never got below tier 2. None of these guys did.
No.
None of these guys did. That's why they're MVP candidates.
Exactly.
So, we don't just hand them out. So, congratulations, Josh Dobbs. You are MVP nominee number 2.
Next man up, a man that we love the nickname, Mr. Unlimited. Sometimes you just got to be unlimited, just
That's
like
right.
Russell Wilson.
That's right.
If you're playing for a team that you know you're going to get cut and you're still playing your heart out, you're a nominee.
Yeah.
Been a tier 1 guy since day 1.
Day 1. Before day 1. Day 0.
Day 0.
Day 0. He was there.
Day negative 1.
He actually said, "Hey guys, we should call this tier 1."
Yeah.
That's what Russell Wilson said does. 4th nominee.
We have a guy who doesn't like to write back. Might have wrote back a little bit, but
Lifted the pen a few times,
Yeah.
but he always put it back down.
always put it back down. And that man, his name, Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. And this was tough to choose between.
Tough. It was a while.
I
we
mean-
had a long conversation. Nominees or the committee.
The committee, yeah.
Of 2 guys.
Yeah.
Had a long
Us.
had a long conversation.
Long conversation that probably lasted over 4 minutes.
Yeah.
4-minute
conversation, everybody.
Yeah, and we ultimately decided that the MVP of the first annual Out of Bounds Awards
For NFL.
is Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
Russell Wilson, congratulations, you are the MVP.
Russell Wilson could not be here today because he's still figuring out where he's going to go next year.
Yeah, he's Mr. Unlimited. He can really do whatever he wants. Honestly, that's what he also responded to our email with, just Mr. Unlimited. Thank you.
He said,
God bless.
He said, thank you. God bless. He didn't even say his name. He said, Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited. Yeah, he signed it with Mr. Unlimited. It was also signed on the email. I don't know how he did that, but
he put pen to paper or pen to
I know
laptop.
Gino would have done that if he won.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that was our awards for the season. We will have our real awards for the actual NFL season next week after our Super Bowl preview. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for some other episodes that could be coming soon too. A few NBA episodes, but maybe some college basketball, maybe some NHL.
Big game.
Let us know.
National. Oh, by the way, a little recap too.
Little recap, yeah.
St. Bonaventure got a huge win over St. Joe's.
Little touch, yeah.
St. Joe's
on Friday night.
packed the bags.
Or last Friday night. It was what day was it? 26th of February. Packed house in the Riley Center.
House.
And the St. Bonaventure Bonnies won by almost 30 points, I think. Great game, electric atmosphere. And
first half was absolutely nuts.
Tonight, as we're recording this, which is January 30th, I think this episode will come out tomorrow, but we're playing VCU at home tonight.
Huge game. National League game.
CBS Sports Network.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m., but just check the box score, I guess, when this is posted. But we're really excited for that. Looking forward to that. Something to give us something for us to look forward to during the week.
And hopefully it's one win closer to March.
That's right. Hopefully it's one win closer to March. So with that, make sure to follow us on Instagram.
At Out of Bounds Podcast with a dot in between every single word.
Yes, there is, Gavin. And, leave any feedback that you guys have in the comments below. Let us know what you guys want to see. You got anything, Gavin?
Can't wait for the Super Bowl in 2 weeks.
Me too.
And it was great. It was a great regular season award show.
It was. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Have a day.